Hello, my name is Zita Holborn and I'm the Joint National Chair of Artists Union England, AUE. We're one of the smallest, youngest unions in the UK, so our membership is only in the hundreds, and we're working all the time to build our membership and grow our union. We're run by a small group of volunteers which make up our National Executive Committee, and we don't have employees working for us. We don't have a union headquarters or any premises. So it's a handful of people, under 10 people, that are running the whole union, as well as holding down other jobs and arts practices in addition. Some of the things that we've been campaigning on recently are equal rights and equality, particularly on grounds of gender and race in the arts and culture sector, for safe and adequate and affordable studios for artists, and more recently we've had a focus on coronavirus and how that impacts on our sector and on our members, who are largely socially engaged, self-employed workers, and the majority of our members are also women. And our members have largely fallen between the gaps when it came to government measures to support people through the coronavirus pandemic and crisis. So we've been campaigning on those issues too.
Hi, my name's Joe Haynes. I'm a member of BECTU's Art Technicians branch, which started around 2 years ago, I believe. There's about 75 of us, and it's one of several fairly new branches in the arts. BECTU tends to, national union, I believe the membership's around 40,000, tends to represent contract and freelance workers in the art and culture industries. Recently, they've added a couple of new branches in the more specifically kind of contemporary arts subsector. There's the Art Tax, there's the South London Gallery, there's the Whitechapel Gallery, who are going for recognition now. There's also the Serpentine, I think, which is fairly new, Serpentine Gallery branch. So we had some things recently on the South Bank too, at the National Theatre. Yeah, shout out back to him.
I'm Paul Fleming, and from October this year, I'm the General Secretary of Equity. Equity is a union of over 48,000 artists. Actors, stage management, directors, designers, choreographers, singers, dance artists, audio artists, burlesque artists, walk-ons, clowns, stunt performers, ventriloquists, the list goes on. We make decisions democratically through our elected council and annual conference, which take motions from geographically organised branches, and committees, which are organised along equality strands and industrial sectors. In many of our workplaces we have the best density in the movement, often over 75% for performers in theatres, and our deputies in stage and screen and secretaries in variety are the vanguard of our union. If we're going to get radical, let's say this: our industry needs to be regionalised, democratised and cooperatised. Artists and audiences should have proportionate control of our infrastructure, and artists own a fair proportion of the revenue that their work creates. Better funding means more money, yes, but it means a real say too. Equity's message is simply this: being an artist doesn't stand in conflict with being a working person. Our members have the right to be artists and the right to a dignified working life too.
There's committees that feed into the council and help it make those decisions, and among which we have the equalities committees, and among those there's the LGBT plus committee, which I chair. I don't know if this is radical or sexy. It definitely shouldn't be radical, maybe it's sexy. But whenever organisations want to engage our members for a good cause, whether genuinely a good cause or generously defined as such, and they take advantage of their skills and talents, they should pay them. We've been focusing on Pride events, some of which are organised as for-profit events, and they often expect our members to provide their services for expenses at best, among which the biggest Pride festival in the country, because it's for a good cause. And and it's just not on, is it?
Hi, my name is Alex Brent and I'm Acting Branch Secretary for GMB South London Universities. We represent over 400 members across University of the Arts London, Greenwich University and London South Bank University. The big campaign for us is UAL and outsourcing, which has been running for a couple of years now. Like many universities, UAL employs outsourced workers in cleaning and catering, whose contracts do not offer the same security, pay and benefits that other UAL staff enjoy. Since coronavirus began, the inequality of this two-tiered system has been exposed even further, and as many of these workers come from migrant, black and BAME backgrounds, they are doubly vulnerable, not only from precarious employment but also from the pandemic. We're fighting to bring these staff contracts in-house, which would finally allow these workers the same dignity and security as other staff at the university. In terms of decision-making, it's still quite top-down, although we rely on our members and reps to let us know what's happening on the ground and for suggestions as to what we need to be pushing in our meetings with management. We're trying to make the branch more democratic and involve members far more, however, which we're addressing with regular meetings and communications to ensure transparency and the ability for members to input and shape what we do. We use WhatsApp for much of our organising, but have recently started to use channels such as Slack and keep members updated with monthly newsletters and regular call-outs for participation in surveys and views, which have increased recently during the pandemic as our sites look to reopen and staff are naturally concerned about safety and other work issues.
The Musicians Union has around 32,000 members and represents musicians, obviously. Localised decisions are made by regional committees or passed on to the executive committee for approval. There's no longer a branch structure in the union, so members would need to contact the regional office for anything they would like to be discussed or voted on by regional committee or the exec committee. This is then added to the agenda for the next meeting. It's been good to see the union throwing its weight behind the fixed streaming campaign that's challenging the exploitative system of paying out paltry royalties to artists and songwriters on streaming platforms. They could also share the new Seat at the Table report by Women in Control, which is demanding better representation for women, particularly black women, on the boards of trade bodies in the music industry. The union also needs to continue lobbying for additional support from the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme, or SEISS, for those working in the live music industry beyond October, as well as those who have recently become self-employed and don't currently qualify.
PCS is the Public and Commercial Services Union, has around 180,000 members, mostly in the civil service. We currently have about 4,000 members in the Culture Group, which represents over 30 branches, including the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, and various non-departmental public bodies and institutions that receive grant and aid from the government, such as the Tate and the V&A, and then several charities that have taken over various institutions like the South Bank. Decisions are made by branch executive committees, and then the group also has an executive committee. There's a yearly conference, which sets work for the National Executive Committee of the Union. It's a very democratic union. Elections are held yearly at AGMs, and delegates to the conferences are elected there as well. Several very active branches have been involved in climate campaigning, and this year, due to COVID-19, the culture sector has faced many challenges, and two of our branches, Tate and South Bank, are facing major redundancies and have been very active in protesting and striking against these decisions. Generally, the group is involved in campaigns against outsourcing and privatisation, and has fought successfully in several workplaces for the living wage. The union in culture represents everyone from cleaners to the curators.
STUK aims to play a role alongside other unions and trade organisations in the negotiation of stage directors' contracts in the UK. STUK aims to help transform the fees, contracts and working lives of directors at all stages of their career, and to ensure a career as a director can be a viable possibility for as many talented individuals as possible, irrespective of background, race and gender. STUK also aims to ensure training and career development paths for all directors are open, transparent and legitimate opportunities.
DCW is a branch under United Voices of the World, a members-led union that supports groups of precarious, low-paid workers. UVW has today more than 5,000 members, of which 160 plus are designers and cultural workers. The membership represents a cross-section of creative industries. We recognize that people often work multiple jobs. We have members who work in theatre and performance, fashion, publishing, graphic design, artists, curators, people working in art schools and arts admin, etc. The goal is to tackle the individualization of work-related issues, to make connections between workers, to educate and support each other. We are a non-hierarchical and member-led, at the moment organising online via Discord. Our branch tries to keep the boundary between member and organizer as porous as possible. Any member can be an organizer. We have roles that are often shared, rotate, and are shaped in an ad hoc way. We use sociocracy as a way to facilitate meetings and output, aiming for consent rather than consensus. And we tried to have as many voices and faces as possible representing our branch. The CW has been organizing around the premise that cultural work is work. We have been campaigning for better pay and work conditions. Many jobs in arts and design do not pay sick or holiday pay, let alone overtime or pension. We highlight the romanticization of art and culture, the culture of individualization and competition that then leads to unpaid internships, unpaid pitches, 0-hour or non-existent contracts, unrealistic deadlines, unpaid overtime, overwork-related stress and burned out, which COVID today came only to highlight even more.
The Wales Freelance Task Force is part of the UK Freelance Task Force instigated by Fuel via an open letter. We are 14 Wales-based freelancers from diverse background and a range of roles. We have weekly meetings with rotating chairs. We have autonomy to create and lead on individual projects, but often work and collaborate within smaller groups within the task force. A recent campaign has been the Wales Freelance Survey, which is all about gathering data on the specific situation for freelancers across the theatre and performance sector in Wales, particularly looking at the impact of COVID-19. We have also written a report called Rebalancing and Reimagining, which offers strategies for organisations and other stakeholders like the Arts Council to support freelancers now and in the future. We exist to strengthen the influence of theatre and performance freelancers within Wales. Mae Tasglu Llawrydd Cymru yn rhan o Dasglu Llawrydd y Deyrnas Unedig. Rydyn ni'n 14 weithiwr llawrydd ar hyd sector theatr a perfformio yng Nghymru, a mi ydyn ni'n cael cyfarfodydd bob wythnos i wneud penderfyniadau, a mae gennym ni'r rhyddid i greu prosiectau yn unigol, neu hefyd mewn grwpiau bach o fewn hynny. Un o'r prosiectau mwyaf diweddar ydy'r arolwg Gweithwyr Llawrydd Cymru, sy'n hel data am sefyllfa presennol Gweithwyr Llawrydd yng Nghymru, yn enwedig gan edrych ar effaith Covid-19. Rydyn ni hefyd wedi ysgrifennu adroddiad o'r enw Ail Fantoli ac Ail Ddychmygu, sy'n cynnig strategaethau ar gyfer sefydliadau a'r cyngor celfyddydau mwyn sefydlogi a helpu gweithwyr llawrydd rwan ac yn y dyfodol.
My name is Eve Lee. I am a member of the Writers Guild of Great Britain. The Writers Guild has over 2,000 members, and they represent writers in TV, film, theatre, radio, books, poetry, animation, and video games.